that. So the first thing I'm going to go through, the reason why I went back all the way to the beginning again is, again, to review for you guys from the start. The first thing you're going to do for all of these solving for our x-intercepts is set it equal to 0. Now, we look at this doing this the first method, solving for x, right? Remember how we solved for x when we only had one term? We don't have one term, though. We have an x squared and an x, like the last example. So therefore, we can't use the square root method. So then we look into, well, what about factoring out the GCF? And we look into factoring out the GCF. And here, we know 4x and 16, those both share a 2. But I can't divide a 2 into an x squared. We know x squared and 4x share an x. But then 16 doesn't have an x. So we can't factor by our GCF. Nor can we solve using the square root method. We have to come up with a third method. And the third method is a lot of times what we call the diamond method. OK? So please just go over. This is the third method we're going to work on today. Please just go over or write this down so you guys have an example of it. So our top version is going to be C. And our bottom is going to be B. I'll explain these in a second. Positive. Our multiplication and addition. You want me to tell you where those come from or what those are?
Yes. I thought the top part of the diamond was A times.
It is A times C, but since A is equal to 1, I'm just writing it as C. So for those of you that forgot, OK, so if you guys forgot where does A, B, and C come from, remember when we graphed in standard form, we had the values of A, B, and C. All right? But in this case, our values of A, B, and C, A is equal to 1, B is equal to 4, and C is equal to negative 16. Does everybody agree with me on those values? You guys had to do the same thing when graphing. Remember finding the axis of symmetry and doing the vertex? You guys had to know what A, B, and C was. So when we're solving by this factor, we're going to want to do the same thing. Make sure you guys know how to identify A, B, and C. Does anybody have any questions before I move forward on that? Yes?
How do you find those?
They are just the coefficients. Look at A is the coefficient of x squared. 1 is the coefficient of x squared. B is the coefficient of x. My coefficient of x is 4. C is just the number by itself with no x's.